Hello and welcome to episode 10 of When Pigs Fly. I'm Patty McGuire and I'm joined by Renee Masaccio and Tracy Malhado. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Today's episode is called Your Stories Help Others. And we are bringing this to light thanks to your amazing comments and feedback that you've been bringing to us. And we're so glad that you feel inspired. And someone even used the words appreciating our bravery. And we want to encourage each of you, this is your community, to feel brave enough to share your story. It may feel like the smallest thing to you, but that can really help shift and inspire somebody else in your community. This is a safe space. If anybody's naughty, we're going to bounce them. And so we really want to encourage you by sharing your stories and your experience and things that have helped you, make a shift. You that little piece of information is going to help one of our tribe members. So let's be there for each other. And we really want to encourage you to do that. And don't worry about there's not going to be any bounce back because we're going to, the parachutes are ready for any naughty behavior. So, with that, who wants to jump in on this topic?
I'm going to jump in with judgment because this is really, like a no judgment zone here. And what you have to recognize is exactly what Patty said. When you tell your story, you don't have to use names, you don't have to use addresses, all that fun stuff. Just do it like a generalized story. And we really appreciate that aspect because even as we're teaching Patty, same thing, this, as we're teaching courses and different stuff, somebody will say something, the littlest comment, or they'll ask a question. And all of a sudden, everybody says, "Oh, thank you so much for answering that question or asking that question. I was thinking the same thing." Don't think that anything is stupid. Like, yeah, I've heard, "Oh, I didn't want to ask this question because it's so stupid." There's no such thing as a stupid question. Absolutely impossible. It's a question. It needs to be answered. And that's what we're here for. You've got a question on something, you want to hear about something. That's what we're here for. Judgment, when people are judging, this is what you have to remember. Number one, don't engage in it. Let it go. If it doesn't resonate with you, or you're like, "Oh my God, that person is so whatever," you've just jumped into judgment. So let that go. Let that person be their own person. This is just in life in general. Let them go on and judge themselves because ultimately they're not judging you. They're judging something about themselves. It always comes back to them. If then I want you to recognize that as well. If you are judging something or someone, come back into you. You will do yourself a huge, wonderful favor by doing that and finding out and say, "Okay, wait, why am I judging this? What's going on within me?" And that will not only set you free, that will allow you to follow your truth and speak your truth more in love. But again, doesn't matter what anybody is saying about you. You are the only person you need to pay attention to. Forget everybody else. Tracy, I know you've got something. You always
Well,
see things a different way too.
this one's kind of simple and basic that just, when we speak our truth, it sets us free on some level. So, when you've had something bottled up and you finally get the nerve to just say it to someone, and it doesn't even matter how they respond, you can have "Oh my God, I said it." So I think there's something beautiful in just saying it for yourself, regardless of who reads it or how it's interpreted. I think that's important to note too, to tell your story just to tell your story for you. I think there is an energy shift in that when you just tell it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Standing in
And
your power.
yeah, absolutely. And not only that, in putting that in writing, even if you don't say it to us, if you don't put it in the chat or whatever, you writing that story or writing something that you're feeling, it goes into that whole journaling, which I'm sure you do. It brings up a whole different aspect for you and it sets you free on so many levels. So I'm sort of shifting into journaling here or just writing, but it is such a great tool to get stuff out about you. And you don't, people, I know some of my clients are like, "I can't do that. What if somebody saw it?" Okay, so take it and then burn it afterwards. Because you writing in your handwriting that stuff, it is bringing up that emotional cleansing. And not that you have to buy into it either. Like sometimes some people will do that and they're disengaged and disconnected from the emotional field. It doesn't have to come through the physical body. And if you are afraid it's going to come through the physical form, like, oh, I don't want to feel all this emotion. This is a horrible thing I'm writing down, but I got to set it free. Then tell your system, we don't need to bring this forward. We don't need to feel this. Exactly what Archangel Michael said a long time ago. I don't need to feel this. I can let it go from where it is. And that is such a huge component. And I used to use that all the time. I'm going to let it go from right where it was because I didn't want to feel all that trauma. I didn't want to feel all that stuff. And it worked for me. It might not work for you because some people are like, oh no, I got to feel it. Okay. But check in with your belief system. But journaling is a huge component. Penny, did you do journaling?
I absolutely did. And for me, it was everything that I knew I couldn't verbalize.
Mhm.
You know, at that point, I couldn't verbalize. And yeah, and I used it to come to forgiveness, to come to self-forgiveness. I used it to document, okay, am I feeling shame here? Or why am I feeling this here? And when you write it, you literally, for me, it took it energetically out of my body. When I was like literally letting it go by putting it on the paper. And yeah, and I loved burning it.
Mm.
Maybe I'm a little pyro. Well, to me though, it was like that doesn't even belong to me anymore. So that was how by the way, highly recommend kitchen tongs. Like get it on the tongs. You need to have a extinguishing source available before you let it on. Don't get too excited and let it on fire. But
Yeah.
I did. I got my cooking tongs and poof. And that was, I mean, such a relief. And some of the more painful things that I wrote down, it went. I felt it leave in that moment. And I 100% believe in it. And you can call it journaling or whatever. And, it doesn't matter if you have a belief system around journals. Some people, tie it to a diary and, call it whatever you want. Pen, paper, get it out of you and onto the paper. And that right there is an energetic practice of clearing yourself some space. And right. And yeah, and all judgment all judgment gets reflected back to you. And so it helps you, right? It creates that, again, that awareness, the awareness that the healing comes after that.
Yeah. And it really is shocking how when you're not only writing it down, but when you're burning it. Like I used to go we had this fire pit outside and I would burn that outside. And it was so like some things would like go up in the air, like I'd see it going. And it was just to see it, like, and have such light, like the way the paper goes, and it's just like so light, and it's like, like I could just feel it. And I would literally I'd be like, oh, look at how
Yeah,
beautiful that is. And it was such crap on that paper, but it
right.
was,
Because you were
really,
seeing the alchemy.
yeah. I mean, it was, feeling that whole aspect too of not only writing it down. And I will say something in my writing that stuff down, that's how I started to channel. Because I was writing down stuff and I was like, oh my God, how am I getting, I have all of this stuff and how am I going to get rid of it? And then all of a sudden I was writing things that I was very aware were not my words, but I wasn't going to stop. And I just kept going, going, going. And then the very end was, I am forever yours, Archangel Michael. And I was like, whoa, I got to read this. I got to know what he said.
Yeah, what did he just say? What did I just
Exactly.
write?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So you never really know what that's going to bring forward for you, but it really is such a means of healing
Yeah,
on so many levels. I mean, if it resonates with you, try it
yeah.
and do it.
And
And don't worry
yeah,
about other people seeing
yeah,
it. Like we said, like burn it, like tear it up, shred it, whatever you want to do.
yeah. And you're healing, this is important too. You're healing from higher consciousness. It's not the traditional like definition of healing that we're used to where it's the pain and the struggle.
Mhm.
You are opening yourself up to that higher consciousness and it's like a soul level healing, if that makes sense, right? And that's why you see that energy go and then it's that you're expanded. You're in an expanded state again. And yeah, it's can't stress enough how valuable that is. And look at in your case, it actually opened a new level of consciousness, and that keeps going throughout the growth process. You just, right, your guides can even change.
Mhm.
All things are possible. And then recognizing that, a lot of people I've heard a lot of people asking, how do you start automatic writing? And it's exactly what you just said. In the writing process, all of a sudden you're like, information is just coming and you're like feverishly writing, and it can go for pages. And that means that this is how we're accessing. You are accessing now your higher intelligence, higher, infinite intelligence, and it's coming down on the paper. And then don't feel weird about it, right? Let it go. There are people that's how light language came to them through these practices, and it can, you know, instigate, some more fun levels of awareness that you didn't have before, and elevate your experience, right? We're here for an experience.
Well, and let
Why
me
not
just,
elevate?
right. And let me just throw this thing in, just because you said, the guides change and all that stuff from an energetic point. I want to bring your awareness around to colors that you're drawn to, because as you're working with, a lot of the angels and all that stuff, and as you're working with them, they have a color to them, and a frequency and all that stuff. But when somebody in particular is working with you, you're all of a sudden drawn to a particular color. You're like, oh, I love this color. I love this peach. I love this blue. I love this whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Now I'm on to greens. I love greens. That's an indicator to you. That's the color of the guides, the angel, whoever's working with you,
Yeah.
which I always thought was really cool. Like I loved,
Yeah.
that aspect of that component. But going back to the whole aspect, the whole conversation, not only journaling to heal, but to journal your thoughts, your things coming forward. And Tracy is a master at this. And be sure you're writing things down as you're moving on your journey, because I always told people that, like, write the stuff down. It's going to come into play at some point. Whether it
Yeah.
is you recognize what you did, you're helping somebody else, because everything you are experiencing, you can help somebody else. There's always somebody behind you that's going
Yeah.
through that same path, that same aspect. So as you're writing, like I always said that to people, and I never did it. I didn't do it. And there were so many things I'm like, oh, I wish I wrote that down, because that could have been this and this. But writing down the positives, I'm going to throw it to Tracy on this one, because she is a master at this.
Well, this is what when we originally got into this, and trust me, back in the day, I did write and burn and I did all that. But also, it's self-exploration and then just general exploration. And I just recently was listening to, in a previous episode, I said I've been kind of listening to what channels are saying about the incoming energies of 2024, because I know what I'm seeing, and it's nice because I see a lot of channels validating the same stuff I'm seeing. But I was listening to Lee Harris. I don't know who he channels, and it doesn't really matter. But they were saying how if you want to channel and you start auto writing, which I started doing years ago, and luckily for me, I meditated, it just flew. Like one day it just started coming out, which was awesome. But his channel was saying that most times they start with very simple messages, and they're always based and rooted in love, because we have to get the love component first. And then we can start to remember and get more intelligence of a broader expansion. And it was so cool, because that is exactly how it came down from me. I mean, I would get 3-word, I would just sit there and, 3 to 5 words, and then maybe that for a while, and then it became a short paragraph, and now it's like, frick, I could write an entire book with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. People do channel entire books. You channeled 4.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, to me, if I could rewind, that's a kind of a nice comforting message of, listen, just listen to yourself. And when you're journaling, it doesn't have to be this big regurgitation of anything or about anything. Like if you just resonate with a simple statement, or be loved, or, like, that's enough, and that's
Yeah.
powerful. And then it expands, it grows. And, I always say I step into my own luck a lot. I just wrote and documented, and I go back and read. I always say, gosh, I'm my biggest fan, because I go
Yeah.
back
You brought it
and
in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so cool because I wrote some stuff, I reread it, and I interpret it different almost every time. And to me, that is so fascinating, right?
Oh, so true. This same holds true for our favorite books. Uh,
Yep.
you go back because you're now you're on a new frequency. You're digesting it in a completely new way. And that's where the writing is so powerful. It does, when you first write it, you go, why did I write that? Don't judge it. Just leave it. If it came through you, put it down. And or you'll go, oh, wait a minute, did I write something about this? Right. And it does. And it has a new meaning. Like we're meant to grow, and that's part of the growth process. Your own energetic expansion and growth. Then you're looking at it with a new set of eyes. Again, we're always seeing it with a new set of eyes. And when you get more practiced with it, you already are considering these multiple eyeballs. Right. Instead of thinking it's one set of eyes, you get that awareness of, ooh, anything and everything is possible. And so you truly can look at it without judgment and go, oh, this is a fun. How can I have fun with this? What can I be curious about? What can, I'm excited to see how this plays out.
And also, because I want to go back to where we started, your story can help others. Share it with people. Like I would write some stuff that was honestly about stuff going on in my world that I was kind of like my role as a mother and my role as a wife, and it was some deep shit like, God, why do I do that? But then share it with other people. I mean, because that's where we started in this conversation, which
Yeah.
might be uncomfortable. But I remember I just started texting stuff to people and be like, look, listen, what I just,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
because
instead of what if I get judged? What if this helps somebody?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And not only that, and I sort of just want to touch on something because Tracy, you had said, we remember. And I think all of us are saying that, well, you're remembering this. What, at least when I say it, what I mean by that is there's nothing, and I say this to people, there's nothing that anybody is saying that you don't know that's inside of you. We are all helping you remember. You have drawn us to you to help you remember what's within. Okay, so that's what, like, whenever I'm saying, okay, remember, we're doing that, we're helping you remember these things. But channeling can come in many different ways. It doesn't have to come through as that writing. For me, the channeling came through when, I was working with people doing Reiki sessions and that in person. And my whole thing was, I didn't want to tap into Reiki because, to me, I recognized the limitation once the energy started to come through, and I could see, I recognized the limitation to it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to open up. And I remember my thought being, okay, guys, whoever that is, I was like, okay, guys, as long as you're in pure love and pure light, come through as for whatever this person needs. I don't care what it is. As long as you're in love and light, come right through me. And I am telling you, amazing stuff started to come through. And then all of a sudden, I started to speak these meditations while they're laying on the table. And I mean, they were profound, and I would see different things. I would see this because there's always more being said, or I mean, there's always more going on than what's being said. And then all of a sudden, light language started to come out. Like, there's different languages, different stuff. So always just be open to, as long as it's in pure love and pure light, go ahead, come through me. You may channel in writing, you may start channeling, you may start toning, you may start, because that's a big thing, the sound, and that's, for another thing, but the sound of your soul is amazing. And it's allowing that to come out and not judging it. And I think in the last episode, I think we were saying something about, okay, what happened to the, dancing naked and being free? That's another way of getting your body to respond into you. And this is sort of like off topic, but on topic. If you just put music on that you like and don't judge it, close your eyes and just start swaying to the music, and then allowing your body to start to take the movements that it wants to do. And it'll make some crazy movements. I mean, sometimes I look like one of those things like, like that thing, but your body knows how it needs to move to let go of stuck energy. Okay, so allow that to come through, but allow everything to just have yourself be in this beautiful place of love. And I know I sort of went off topic, but the healers were like, okay, this fits here. So I hope it does fit there. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And what do you got, ladies?
Yeah. I want to throw it back to Tracy because I jumped in on you. You were talking about how our stories do help others. And I think you still had some more thoughts you wanted to share there.
No,
Yeah.
no, just that, to share to that they do that regardless of what we're thinking, seeing, it does help others. And Renee, I just want to tag on to what you said about, the moving. I've gotten to the place and how it shows up. I will wake up in the middle of the night in the weirdest positions. I'm in a full on twist or a yoga pose. And then to be like, okay, something like whoever they are got me in this weird shape. And then I always say, if you don't have to, but for me, to be aware of it and be like, okay, yes, please. And even more, right? Because obviously something's going on. But I guess my message is it exponentially gets more cool, more exciting, and more, right, way out there. So with
Love
simply
that.
sharing something small, it could start a chain reaction of really cool stuff, remembering exploration, expansion, which
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think when we talk about resonates, for me, resonate is remembering the truth of who I am. When something resonates with me, it's because, okay, that's tapping into the truth of who I am. So if that's why we're saying, take this, even this broadcast is an energetic expression. And if you're here and soaking up this and feeling it, you're receiving the energy of it. And so you sharing your story in there is you giving your beautiful energy to the group. So don't worry so much about don't judge the story and don't judge the words. You're putting love into our community too, which is why we're here. We're trying to hold a space of love without judgment, and expressing yourself is the one of the biggest acts of self-love that you can do.
Yeah, yeah, and your whole truth coming forward and all that. And this is sort of off topic again, but I'm going to sort of say, because Tracy, you saying you woke up in a weird position. I'm totally sure if people are aware of this. Like when we're sleeping, we really are out there. I don't know, universe, whatever, but we're out there. Like our soul and everything is out there. We're teaching, we're learning, we're doing all sorts of things out there. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, like let's say you have that, like, oh, all of a sudden I jarred open, or I jarred awake at night. It's because what happened was we're out there and we're in this beautiful vibration of love, and we're teaching and we're learning. And there's not a conversation. It's all, the mind that you're all thinking and they're all doing. And what happens is when you're ready to come back to the body, it is literally a crash landing. If we're a different vibration, I'm not going to say lower, it's a different vibration. And it's a crash landing. And that's where we do that. Like, oh, Jarvis, like, what the heck just woke me up? And you're like thinking, that's a vibrational difference. That's an indicator to you. Oh, wait, I'm going to do something to help get my vibration up there. Do anything and everything you can, do your movements, do whatever, listening to great songs, so many things. Remember, everything is energy. So many things can help us shift and change our vibration. Like I used to, and every now and then I still do. I got to get back into the habit of doing that. But Karen Drucker has these beautiful songs, right? The songs of the spirit.
Ah,
Oh my God, they're just
love them.
phenomenal, right? I would play
Yeah.
them in the morning, like, giving it, and then like, during the course of the day, and then all of a sudden you're just singing those, but it's bringing your vibration to a higher, and the healers hate when I say higher, because they're saying it's just a different one. So bringing your vibration to a different level that is going to assist you and help you in feeling that strength and that truth and all that you truthfully are. And it's not that you're always crashing down into your body,
Right.
but recognizing, okay, Tracy, you waking up in that position, all bet my life you were you're teaching some crazy cool stuff out there. The thing you're like, okay, this is how you do it. Like in this vibrational energy, because it really is surprising how when you start to just let your body move the way it wants to move, it is shocking how, because your head's out of it, right? It
Yeah.
is shocking how your body moves. And then you go to make that movement and you're like, well, I can't do that. My wrist won't go that way. Because
Yeah.
now we jumped into the human consciousness. Does that make sense?
Well, have you seen people do this? And I know that there's some personal development coaches that do this exercise where you stand up and they have you, twist your body, like pick a point
yeah.
behind you. And, when you take your head out of it, you go like 3/4 farther than, right? It's the same concept. We're only limited by what we currently believe.
Right. And do
Awesome.
that. Like I think the first time I
Go
was
with
on
it.
the John Burgos show, I did that.
Oh,
It
you
was like,
did?
stand up,
Love
put
that.
your arms out to your sides and now turn as far as you can and pay attention, like look and see which arm, like where is that pointed in the room?
Yeah.
Then you come back, you stand, you let your arms down and you just say, or you think, I
I'm gonna go
know
further.
with every ounce of my being, I can and will turn a quarter to a third or 3/4 of the way more than I did. And then you do it again. And they do. And I remember once I was teaching Reiki and a guy was in there, and I'm telling you, when he first turned like that, I'm telling you, he was almost looking at me and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy is not going to be able to, like, this is crazy. Why did I do this experience? And he did it. And sure enough, he turned, he was looking straight at me and he kept doing it. And I was like, okay, we need to stop now. I'm going to get into the class. But it is crazy when you just saying that, recognizing that, oh my God, that's all I do is say it, because you're giving your direction to the body.
Yeah. I've
And
been
all of a
saying
sudden
this.
you're doing things.
Yeah. Anybody who knows me, it's like one of my broken record statements is this runs the body. The higher consciousness. I know, or whatever. Sorry, guides. The frequency. The frequency of higher consciousness runs the body. Yeah. And when you allow it to, then you can experience it.
Right. And I think just if we were like, what if, I use Tracy's words, like, what if we were able to do everything and anything? Like, so, waking up and saying, okay, what if I could just fly to work today? Just start to put that out there. Just start to put that whole little thing out there. What if I had a great day and everything worked in my favor? Like, all right, that's what I'm going to put out there, and start to put out there and give that direction to your system. Because look, when you say, I can and will turn a quarter to, half a degree further than I just did, and you do,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
how can that be? It's all you
Mhm.
did is just say it. So understanding and recognizing how powerful our words are, because those words are carrying in energy and our bodies are listening. And if we say we're limited, they're going to say, okay, we're limited. I'm going to live up to that expectation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's going to actually do that.
Yeah. And if you're afraid to define what that is, like that you want, go at it from curiosity.
Yeah.
I wonder, right? I wonder, what if I allowed this, right? I wonder, right? And just add curiosity and it takes you out of the struggle bus.
Yeah. Tracy, you have a twist to this? You got something for this one? Because
No,
usually
but
you come in a different way.
I know, but this is right, this is my fun zone right now of really thinking the unthinkable, and I jam on it. Like, well, gosh, if I could fly to work, like, how would that feel like? And what route would I go? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
How high off
start
the ground am I? What's my top speed, right?
right, yeah, and that's fun to me, and this is what goes on my head a lot of the times. Or would I want to just kind of like hover and levitate, or you know what I mean? So I love this stuff and I love this conversation, and my head goes here quite a lot. The what ifs, the curiosity, and the why not. Don't tell me I can't regrow my finger. Of course I can, and I don't know, maybe it didn't happen today. I didn't fly today, but I'm going to sure as hell try again tomorrow. So,
I love that. Yeah.
I
And,
love
and
that.
I think if we all came at it from that perspective, like how great would that be? What if I told my story here and it was accepted and honored and people were thanking me for that? And then it gave them the safety to let their story out,
Yeah.
which maybe help them to just write it into there and to put that energy out. Because trust me when I say all the comments and all that, they are being filled with such love. As we're looking at them and we're seeing them, there is such love. And as everybody else is, they're sending love as well. So not only is it going to the comment, it comes right to you because your energy is attached to there. And it comes right into you. In addition to the fact that we're all connected. We're all one. I always see these cells that connects us and things, everything in the world is, one big giant strand. So feel safe. Know that it's safe to do your comments and to get that out of your system, to free yourself in a whole new way. Right?
Yeah. I love that. Well,
I think it's a
yeah.
lot more common too, that a lot more people are, I don't think people don't realize that they're not as unusual and unique as they think they might be. And I mean that in a good way.
Right.
Like, hey, you're not weird by saying that. There are other people that feel that same way. I think that's important to recognize.
Absolutely. And I know for, a pre-awakening journey does feel very, very, you feel very isolated and think you look up and say, oh my gosh, who can I tell this to? And then you do get to a point though where like attracts like, and you do recognize and you do, and you find your tribe. And that's like, so this here is your tribe. And so we really, really, do encourage you to share the love here. And we're going to give it right back to you. And so, boy, we zipped through this topic very quickly. Ladies, any closing thoughts or comments?
For me, I'm just saying, I'm just sending in love and just be okay with telling your story and being your truth, because quite honestly, you will be surprised when you start to say it. How many people around you are like, oh my God, I didn't know you were into that. I didn't think I could say that. And like they're all around you and you just don't recognize it.
True.
How about you, Trace?
I totally agree.
Echo that. Well, in case you guys didn't get the message, we love you and thank you so much for being here with us. Ladies, I love you dearly. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yep. Love y'all.
Bye.